Sorry, had too much coffee. My fingers are jittery. Thanks to Folgers.
Okay, for sponsoring our morning highs.
And ruining the plumbing in our office.
Hello! Welcome to Life of the Brand. I am Kevin Wade, this is Tyler McKnight, that is Steven Pence. And what is this, Tyler?
I don't know, Kevin. It looks like a new set to me.
I love it. We got color, we have
Wood.
manly woodworking.
Manly woodworking, I like that. That sounds a little redundant. But
Todd just cracked up behind the camera. I don't know why.
But please, in the comments, tell us if you like it and what should we put on the wood. You tell us.
Please validate my construction work.
And validate his construction work. He needs it, I guess.
I need help. Anyway.
So, today we're going to be talking about product placement.
Yeah.
Sponsored by
YouTube,
Everything
Google
on this
Partners,
table.
Life of the Brand, and Folgers Coffee, as you may have seen earlier on.
Yes. So, today we want to talk about product placement, examples that are good, that are bad, why it works, what doesn't work, how much it costs. So, we'll talk about first, what are your favorite examples of good product placement?
Ooh!
Do you want to start?
I want to start.
You start.
Okay, so we are kind of in the season of Halloween, which of course meant that Stranger Things premiered its second season just a little bit ago.
Netflix.
On Netflix.
Watch responsibly. Oh, gosh.
So basically, this is a fantastic show, and so many people jumped on the bandwagon in season 1 because it was so incredibly 80s. And how did they get that in there? It was product placement everywhere. All of these old school products that all of these 80s kids loved. I didn't get it. I was born in '91, so
89, so I get it.
Totally passed.
I spent a month in the
Spent a
89.
month in the 80s.
Yeah, so I know.
But I love in Stranger Things how they use effective product placement, which is one of the, I guess product placement really kind of bugs me because a lot of shows just do it for the sake of there being money involved with it, for there being some sort of incentive for saying, you know, like, we drink coffee out of YouTube mugs, YouTube, and it's just very, very, you know, it's really in your face. But Stranger Things actually use it as a plot device to further the plot of their show.
Right,
So that was
and,
cool.
and it's not paid for. They write it into the script, and what it does is we were talking to a gentleman earlier today who grew up in that time frame, Todd, and he was talking about it's a great nostalgia thing.
Yeah.
And it helps people relate more to the characters. I mean, I was watching Stranger Things last night, and I binge watched 6 episodes. It was intense.
Very bingeable.
But there was a scene where they're eating KFC, and Steve, one of the guys, after he eats it, he's like, "Man,
Spoiler alert.
that's finger looking good." And as we know, that is a new.
That's the slogan.
So I would call that an Easter egg, so to
Yeah.
speak. We can call it that. It's a great Easter egg.
So what's your favorite version of product placement that you've seen?
Ever?
Ever.
I know the one that always sticks out in my mind, just because they went over it time and time again in all my communication classes, was the Dr. Pepper in Spider-Man, the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a 5-second shot of just Dr. Pepper.
It just sits there.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Well, that's great.
Sorry, I got frozen in the moment.
But
yeah,
do you think that was effective or not? Is that one that you thought of as effective or that you thought of as kind of annoying?
I would say it's effective because I still remember it to this day.
Okay.
But that was before product placement. That was, I would say, roughly the beginning of product placement. It was when it was starting to come around, and
Well, at least within the modern parlance.
Not true, actually,
Oh.
because I did some research, and product placement actually began in 1873.
Dang, so you were way wrong.
what did the Gutenberg Press do?
No,
Something?
novelist Jules Verne wrote Around the World in 80 Days, and shipping companies at the time were competing to get
Oh, no
mentioned
way.
in the books.
Were they paying for it?
Yeah, they were competing to get
Wow.
mentioned in the book. So, and then through the rise of the film industry in the 40s and 50s, there were independent product placement agencies in the 50s. Yes, relative to your time experiences, I guess that makes sense that Spider-Man was around the time you probably started paying attention to ads.
My time frame.
Yes.
Since the world revolves around Tyler, so the first time you saw product placement, that must be when it started.
I am egocentric.
Yes. So you mentioned Stranger Things and Netflix, and that actually got me thinking, is that a good way for products to get into shows that don't traditionally have commercials? Netflix doesn't run ads, but you could get products foreseeably in the shows, in the background making cameos. And what do you think if that is a viable option in the future to kind of integrate into Netflix?
Yeah, with kind of this whole streaming world we're in right now where you're either having to pay for more and more ads or streaming services are trying to have to figure out ways to promote elsewhere. And so you know what? I don't know because I've never thought about that before. It's an interesting idea that now that you say that, I'm like backing up and feeling all these times where I remember a product more because of the ridiculous ways that it was used in product placement. Than any commercial I've ever seen. I think Subway is a great example of that. There was a show in the late 2007 to like 2012. It was called Chuck. It was the spy comedy. And it almost got canceled if not for a generous investment from Subway. But they wanted like massive product placement rights. So in once every few episodes, there's just this massive discussion about like the Subway sandwich, and it's used as a plot device to like distract people while they're doing like spy stuff. And this one character just loves his Subway sandwich, and every time he gets one, he will explain to you everything about what he has put in it, as like the shot of the sandwich is like being cradled in his arms with like a drink. And it was ridiculous, but I remember that more than any other placement of Subway in any of their commercials. So I don't know. I think it needs to be done subtly. Like that was a little overboard.
Well, but I'm sorry to cut you off, but I was just thinking of another example in the show. You may know it, How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah.
Neil Patrick Harris's character Barney was typically seen drinking Red Bull. Now that wasn't paid for. He was just doing it, and it was on the set. Red Bull eventually came to him and said, "Okay, we'll sponsor you, not the show. We'll sponsor you to drink Red Bull on camera." So they're attaching themselves not only to a TV show, but to a brand that is Neil Patrick Harris. Neil Patrick Harris's brand.
So he's a spokesperson, and they get product placement.
Right, but it's subtle. It's subtle, and they don't even just sit there and show it. You'll see the can in his hand, and because their product is so well known, you'll recognize, oh, he's drinking.
It's the blue and the gray, even if the label isn't showing you.
So it's the way I would almost call it the original native advertising, the way product placement has worked, because they embed it within there. And the way we think about native advertising now is blogs placed at the end of CNN from around the web. So now we've got TV shows that are integrating products into it, but they're subtly done. So it's a way traditional native advertising.
And ways that brands make themselves invaluable in the lives of these characters. James Bond doesn't drive a Toyota Corolla; he drives an Aston Martin.
He should. And safety rating on those are through the roof.
Oh gosh. Unpaid for advertisement.
No, speaking of James Bond, actually, the movie Skyfall, Heineken actually paid $45 million to replace the classic martini drink. So you can see Daniel Craig drinking Heineken throughout the movie, and that's a great example of kind of latching on to something that's known throughout culture, that James Bond drinks martinis, and kind of subverting the expectations by putting Heineken.
Right, it's like you want to drink a martini, you're going to be like James Bond. I mean, it's one of those other subtle ways. I have another example, and it's another Red Bull one, but for those of you that are soccer fans, the New York Red Bull. That is a soccer team based around the Red Bull drink, and their logo is the Red Bull.
And similar to that, in racing team, that's not, I mean, that is product placement at its most.
Right.
Like, it's right on the sides of these cars. The Red Bull racing team, has, Formula One and all of their extreme sports. That is just a massive version of product placement. Their product is no longer just the drink, it's the experience, it's the lifestyle, and that's all done through product placement in purchasing sports teams, in purchasing whole extreme sports franchises, in purchasing motor racing teams. It's crazy.
Yeah. Building off of that, I want to talk about two examples that I think are great. I want to know your thoughts. Two movies that are pretty much product placements in and of themselves. The Lego movie and The Internship, where it focuses on Google. And how does that come about, where a whole entire franchise of toys, Lego, can create a movie, and it's basically one giant ad, but yet it's entertaining, it's critically acclaimed, and people love it.
Man, that's interesting. So the Internship, I think, less than the Lego movie. I think the Lego movie and all of the things that have popped up because of that, there's now 3 of them. That's just nuts to me, because when it came out, I literally thought that it was a joke, that the trailer was just going to be promoting Lego and one of the sets. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, it is a movie. Like, that's insane. I don't think there's many brands that could pull it off like that. And I mean, there's been a lot of like Facebook and Apple stuff, but those are like docudramas, like they're documentary style, fictional dramas. But yeah, The Internship with Google, it placed a comedic movie that had nothing to do with Google in and of itself within the context of Google. And I think if you do it cleverly, and if your brand has a place to go with it, because it's got to be a certain kind of brand, you have to have a certain level of people knowing you.
Like the movie Battleship failed for
Right.
example.
Yeah.
And then Transformers is a great example too of another.
Oh, Transformers! Yeah, they made an entire
Even
franchise
Angry
off the
Birds,
brand.
Angry Birds the movie,
Oh,
even
man.
Emoji movie.
Okay, but that was a failure. Like that's a good example. Like I said, you have to do it right. That was complete and total pandering. Like that movie did not exist other than the fact that people wanted to earn money off of the craze of emojis on phones. Like it's ridiculous. Sorry.
Oh yeah.
Rant free.
Yep. Lastly, when I talk about
I
the
paid my
future
rent.
of digital product placement,
Oh.
with the ability to sort of post-edit things into old shows. I know I've heard some things with the Friends show.
Yeah.
Them
Or
going
new
back
product.
and putting new products in the show. And then also there's been music videos that they've actually in post-production put billboards up that weren't there originally. Years after the music video was popular, brands went and bought space in that. And I just wanted to know what your thoughts maybe on the future of digital product placement with the ability to change creative out and focus on different audiences and target them.
So let me touch on this first. So I want to take a little step back and
Okay.
talk back into the 90s with the show Seinfeld.
Yeah.
They did an entire episode called The Junior Mint.
What are you eating? Junior mint. You want one?
And I think that's the way that people should. That was before its time. It worked out great. And I think this is what they should continue to do. Naming episodes after a product, because you forever have that branded with the show. And that Junior Mint episode, everybody knows because Kramer drops a mint into somebody's body while they're having surgery. So, and to this day, that's when I think of Junior Mint, I think of Seinfeld. And it's funny. I wouldn't even know if you call that cross promotion, but it's good for both. I mean, Seinfeld is relevant because of the Junior Mint. Junior Mint is relevant because of the Seinfeld episode. So, I could see that happening in the near future.
Yeah.
And again, with Stranger Things, bringing Ghostbusters and all these different times into their episodes, they can start calling their episodes after a specific product, and whether they want to pay for that or not.
Well, with what Steven's talking about, would you need to do that? Because the whole idea that at a moment's notice you could take your brand, take your product, have it edited in post-production into an episode of Seinfeld that's 20 years old,
Right.
or something like that.
the possibilities are endless.
They really are. I mean, obviously you have to remain relevant for that
Sure.
time. Like you couldn't put like a YouTube ad inside a Seinfeld.
So let me
But-
pose the question though, because I'm actually against this as we talk about it. I don't think it's a good idea because if you're watching an episode of Friends and then you see an ad for a company that didn't come around until after that show
That's
was
why I
on
was saying,
air,
like, be careful. Like,
I'm
make
gonna
sure
be
that
turned off
it
from
was
that.
around. Or even if one that was like 5-6 years ago, like How I Met Your Mother, a company that maybe didn't think to advertise there. Now the option wasn't there to put yourself in as a sponsor after the fact. Now has that opportunity. It's where advertising is going to become more accessible in many more different ways. Just a few years ago, if you were a small business in a local market, you could not place ads on Facebook. You could not place ads on Hulu or YouTube, and now we're seeing that that's been freed up a lot. So I think that's going to free up because there are now so many different television shows and so many different movies across so many different channels and mediums, the ability to not only place your product within shows in the first place, but also to place your product within shows after the fact or movies after the fact.
Yes.
I think that it has the possibility to create a whole lot of new opportunities for advertising, but the key is to not get greedy and to make sure that you are not overplacing. I mean, the table in How I Met Your Mother that was once empty, the bar table, that just had them drinking drinks cannot now be full of 15 different products, all with the logo facing at you. And I don't think it'll come to that.
No,
but I
you
think
could
it's
put
something to
Budweiser
watch.
in there.
Yeah,
That's a brand that's been around forever.
exactly. And that would be clever, and that would be something that people would notice and not necessarily associate with this kind of post-production brand.
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's it. So if this is your first time watching, please subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram.
brands,
Thanks,
brands,
Brands.
product placement.
New set. Brands. Folgers.
Thanks to
YouTube.
Valspar, and a quick shout out to Nanoleaf. Please sponsor our wall.
We would really like that. That'd be
You guys
really
have an
cool.
amazing product, and again, you'll get all this traffic.
The drop bomb, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crap. Oh, so loud, he opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's talking now, time's up. Oh, snap back to reality. Whoop, there goes gravity. Whoop, there goes gravity. Chokes is so mad, but he won't give out. Bad.